Shalom, 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 and shalom. And for my lovely occasional blonde terror, Takra Agam Ditch. I'm going to talk about a different subject. Seems I got a bit in a stingy match with somebody because they heard one word, or actually one phrase, and didn't go past it. So, I'm going to avoid that touchy subject for that person, because I really don't want to antagonize them, and I could have gone deeper, and it could have got ugly. But that's not my point. That's not why I'm here. The subject for tonight is the arrogance of man. Conceit, actually. Mankind keeps thinking that it is the pinnacle of all existence. But it's not. Watch this clip. Let me know what you think.
You got people like this around you. Country's full of them now. People walking around all day long, every minute of the day, worried about everything. Worried about the air, worried about the water, worried about the soil. Worried about insecticides, pesticides, food additives, carcinogens. Worried about radon gas, worried about asbestos. Worried about saving endangered species. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right? Saving endangered species is just one more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature. It's arrogant meddling. It's what got us in trouble in the first place. Doesn't anybody understand that? Interfering with nature. Over 90%, way over 90% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet, are gone. They're extinct. We didn't kill them all. They just disappeared. That's what nature does. They disappear these days at the rate of 25 a day. And I mean regardless of our behavior. Irrespective of how we act on this planet, 25 species that were here today will be gone tomorrow. Let them go gracefully. Leave nature alone. Haven't we done enough? We're so self-important. So self-important. Everybody's going to save something now. Save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save those snails. And the greatest arrogance of all, save the planet. What? Are these fucking people kidding me? Save the planet? We don't even know how to take care of ourselves yet. We haven't learned how to care for one another. We're gonna save the fucking planet? I'm getting tired of that shit. Tired. I'm tired of fucking Earth Day. I'm tired of these self-righteous environmentalists, these white bourgeois liberals who think the only thing wrong with this country is there aren't enough bicycle paths. People trying to make the world safe for their Volvos. Besides, environmentalists don't give a shit about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are fucked. Difference. The planet is fine. Compared to the people, the planet is doing great. It's been here 4.5 billion years. Did you ever think about the arithmetic? Planet has been here 4.5 billion years. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe 200,000? And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat? That somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful little blue-green ball that's just a-floating around the sun? The planet has been through a lot worse than us. Been through all kinds of things worse than us. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, hundreds of thousands of years of bombardment by comets and asteroids and meteors, worldwide floods, tidal waves, worldwide fires, erosion, cosmic rays, recurring ice ages, and we think some plastic bags and some aluminum cans are going to make a difference? The planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We're going away. Pack your shit, folks. We're going away. And we won't leave much of a trace either. Thank God for that. Maybe a little styrofoam. Maybe. Little styrofoam. Planet will be here and we'll be long gone. Just another failed mutation. Just another closed-end biological mistake. An evolutionary cul-de-sac. The planet will shake us off like a bad case of fleas. A surface nuisance. You want to know how the planet's doing? Ask those people at Pompeii who are frozen into position from volcanic ash how the planet's doing. Want to know if the planet's all right? Ask those people in Mexico City or Armenia or 100 other places buried under thousands of tons of earthquake rubble if they feel like a threat to the planet this week. How about those people in Kilauea, Hawaii who build their homes right next to an active volcano and then wonder why they have lava in the living room? The planet will be here for a long, long, long time after we're gone, and it will heal itself, it will cleanse itself, because that's what it does. It's a self-correcting system. The air and the water will recover, the earth will be renewed, and if it's true that plastic is not degradable, well, the planet will simply incorporate plastic into a new paradigm, the earth plus plastic. The earth doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the earth. The earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children. Could be the only reason the earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us. Could be the answer to our age-old philosophical question, why are we here? Plastic. Assholes. So, the plastic is here, our job is done, we can be phased out now, and I think that's really started already, don't you? I mean, to be fair, the planet probably sees us as a mild threat, something to be dealt with, and I'm sure the planet will defend itself in the manner of a large organism, like a beehive or an ant colony can muster a defense. I'm sure the planet will think of something. What would you do if you were the planet trying to defend against this pesky, troublesome species? Let's see, what might... viruses. Viruses might be good. They seem vulnerable to viruses. And viruses are tricky, always mutating and forming new strains whenever a vaccine is developed. Perhaps this first virus could be one that compromises the immune system of these creatures. Perhaps a human immunodeficiency virus, making them vulnerable to all sorts of other diseases and infections that might come along. And maybe it could be spread sexually, making them a little reluctant to engage in the act of reproduction. Well, that's a poetic note. And it's a start. And I can dream, can't I?
In case you didn't know, the guy I had up, his name is George Collin. I don't occasionally agree with George. He is a devout atheist, and obviously we won't agree. But there is times he brings up some solid points. And in this, we share common ground. I was at work today, where I currently live, talking to one of my colleagues in Pune, India. And he was going on about how we are a major threat to the planet. We're no threat to the planet. The planet was here long before we were here. The planet will be here long after we leave. And George is right. To the planet itself, which is, it's rock, basically, rock and other things, but we'll just say rock. And it's been here for a long time, poetically speaking, looking at humankind. But the arrogance of men is that we are affecting it all. And you listen to people that they claim are experts on the subject. And actually, all they are is expert comment. You see, there's this big, huge, giant, fiery ball right in the middle of the solar system. It's called a sun or a star. Now, this object in our solar system affects the weather patterns and the climate changes and everything else on every planet in the solar system that it touches. We can actually measure climate change on all the internal planets, because the norms of those planetoids have altered from what we thought was baseline to where it's going now. So it is by no means done by us. We've only been doing an industrial revolution for 200 years. I'm not saying there's no pollution around. I mean, there is. I am against pollution. But we are not affecting the weather on this planet. Not by a long shot. But you see, you have these climatologists, and they run around, they make up this stuff. And really, they're nothing more than fraudsters, right? Con artists. And there's no problems with the planet. But you see, here's the thing, right? You can't tax a star. You can't just do a project to get a bunch of people to donate money to control the sun, because we can't control it. It's too big, too complex. And in short, we probably would kill ourselves if we tried. So what they do is they can come up with these false science, right? This bogus science. And they sit there and say, well, we're killing the planet, so we need to get tax credits and everything else to undo the damage we've done and to pay back other countries whom did not contribute to it. It's really a social scam. Trying to get money from developed nations to transfer to non-developed nations. This is the only thing it does. The actual person who dreamed up global warming was what it was really called. Because before that, when I was a kid, it was called global freezing or cold. But then it became global warming. The person who came up with the theory, global warming, that scientist that came up with it came out a few years later and debunked his own work. So how much validity does it really have? None. Then you have another scientist running, not a scientist, but a politician running around. Well, his name is Al Gore, right? Now, Al Gore, as embarrassing as it may be for me, but Al Gore, well, might be for some parts, but not for me, was a friend of the family. We know him. Long before he became anything in a political arena. Long before he became vice president. Long before all that. Going back in the 60s. And Al Gore would used to try to check up and see what I was up to. Mainly to find some dirt so he can make a name for himself. Of course, at the time I had this nagging feeling to say nothing. Because I knew things were going on. Things that shouldn't have been going on. But I also knew that Al was, a snake. Well, Al Gore does all these things, like we're killing the planet, doing this and this and that. Well, if you go visit his house, it's lit up like a Christmas tree, man. He uses more power than probably a small town. Big, huge lights and spotlights and electronic security and everything else. If Al was so worried about the planet, Al would, Al would be a little bit more cognitive of his power consumptions, or come up with some other way to generate the power requirements he needs. either by using things like solar energy, wind power. I know where Al lives. I know of things he can't use. Wind power wouldn't work very well anyhow. Biodiesel for generators. All kind of other things. So he's not creating a lot of pollution. And comes up with his power that way. But Al doesn't. But he expects you to do it. Just not him. So George was also right by saying most of them, in the abstract, don't give one care about the planet at all. Actually, they don't care one thing, period. Except how much money you're going to be paying me to say it. Because it's just voodoo science. It's not factual. It's not grounded in reality. It's bogus. Just bogus. It's just a scheme to transfer wealth and to cause the supposed industrial nations to collapse even faster. And they're collapsing now. But you got the UK, I talked about it last time during Shabbat. They're crashing right now. The United States is right behind them, going right down. And you got a illegal alien at the helm trying to lay on more steam because it's not going fast enough. So the whole thing's bogus. The whole thing's a lie. People won't figure out the truth until it's too late. You know, I'm tired, guys. Sorry to say, I'm exhausted. And I need my sleep. So, I wish you guys a good day. Be blessed. May the blessings of God be upon you all. And shalom. For my lovely bride, wherever she is, I am here. To God, I'll go. Ditch. Have a good night.